Pre-algebra, lesson 111, commission and profit. All right, so let's talk about commission and profit. So the way commission works is at some places of business, like clothing stores, a lot of stores that you see in malls, or even like car dealerships, the way people pay their employees is they have a basic pay or a base pay. And that amount can usually be pretty low since, like clothing stores or car dealerships, their pay is directly related to how well they can sell clothes or cars or product, right? So they get a base pay, which is what they make every month, regardless of whether or not they sell. Then they also earn what's called a commission. A commission is a certain percentage of what they sell. So, for example, I spelled commission wrong. There's two M's. Sorry. Other than my bad spelling. For example, if I'm a car salesman and I sell $20,000 worth of cars. Well, that's actually not a lot. Let's say I sell $40,000 worth of cars. I would make a certain commission on that amount of sale that I make. So let's say I sold $40,000 worth of cars and my commission was 10%. Then I would earn 10% of that $40,000 on top of my base pay. So if some of you that have done the math in your head already, you already know that 10% of $40,000 is $4,000. So whatever your base pay was, plus that $4,000 would be your total paycheck. So let's say your base pay was $500. So let's say you've got a $500 base pay plus a $4,000 commission. That would give you a total paycheck of $4,500. And that is that's how your commission pay works. So it's your base pay plus your commission amount, which gives you your total. And you'll have to do some math to figure out the commission. Don't worry, we'll do a full example of this in a moment. The last thing we're going to, actually, you know what, we'll do all commission. We'll do an example of this, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about profit. So let's do a commission problem. Let's see here. They tell me that a sales representative was paid a base salary of $300 a month. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm on example 111.1 on page 345, by the way. So the sales representative, his base salary is $300 a month. Okay, and he's also paid a commission of 10%. Cool, 10% commission. 10% commission of everything he sold. And they tell me he sold $26,000 worth of merchandise in 1 month. So 10% of 10% of $26,000, right? So I have to figure out what that amount is. So so 10% of $26,000. Wow, that's so sloppy. Let's just start over. Let's write this neatly. If we're gonna do something, let's do it well. So now we have to do 10% of the $26,000 he sold that month, and that will tell me what his commission amount is. Now, in order to find 10% of 26,000, there's a multitude of ways that we can do this. We can either do the decimal times L equals is. We can turn our 10% into a decimal, multiply that by 2,600. We could do the percent over 100 equals is over of method. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to do decimal times L equals is. So I'll take 10%, I'll turn it into a decimal, which makes it 0.1, and then I'll multiply 26,000 times 0.1. So if I multiply by 0.1, I end up with 0.00062, and then I move the decimal point one place. So that gives me $2,600 for his commission. So now I've got a commission of $2,600, and I'm going to add that to the base pay of $300. So $300 plus $2,600 will give me his total pay of 3 and 6 is 9, $2,900, and that is his paycheck. All right. So that's how we calculate commission. Now let's talk about profit. Okay. So profit can be explained like this. Profit is the markup, or how much people sell their products for, minus the expenses, and that's what they profit. So in the last lesson, we learned about markup and markdown, and stores mark up their prices, right? So if they, we did that example in the last video of the shoe store owner buying a pair of shoes for $20 and then selling it for $32. So the markup would be $32, right? So in that example, the markup sell, she sold the shoes for $32. The expenses, well, the expenses aren't always just the amount she paid for them. So the expenses could be multiple things. So the expenses could include let's say there's the $20 she paid for the shoe, and then let's say there's also about about $4 that it costs for her employees. So for about every pair of shoes, she spends about $4 on employees or lights or rent. So let's say her expenses come out to about $24 for every pair of shoes that she buys. So her profit would be 32 minus every expense, which gives us an answer of $8, right? Because we'll cancel that. That's 2, 12 minus 4, 8. So her profit would be $8 per shoe. Now, when we calculate when we calculate profit, it's not going to be on a single item. It will be on all the items and all the expenses. So that's how that actually works out. I'm just using the single item to give the example. So now let's do an example. We'll do example 111.2 on page 345 as well. They tell me markup is not all profit. The store owner must pay overhead, rent, the water bill, the employee salaries, insurance, and other costs, right? That's that red expense line, right? And it says, a store owner marks up her merchandise 40%. Her expenses are $5,200 a month. Okay, hey, so great. They tell me the expenses right off the bat. Expenses are $5,200 a month. That's how much the store owner spends on rent, water, utilities, employees, right? Now, if she paid $16,000 for the goods sold in 1 month, what was her profit? Ooh, okay. So this is a little bit tricky. So we have to figure out what the markup is, okay? So to find out her markup of $16,000, we have to go back to the previous lesson. So if you're having trouble on markup, you need to go back and watch lesson 110. But if you remember, the way we do markup is we take 100% plus the markup percent. So it says she marks up her percent, or her merchandise 40%. So we're dealing with 140% over 100, right? Now, it tells me that she paid $16,000 for all the goods she sold in a month. So that $16,000 is the original price. That's not the markup. So $16,000 needs to go down there. And in order to find out how much she marked it up, or the markup value, I would have to do this cross multiplication, okay? So when I multiply this, I end up with 100x is equal to 16,000 times 140. That's a big number. Let's go ahead and get another piece of paper. Hold on. Oh wait, no, I'm going to use my whiteboard. This is something I started doing with some of the other classes. Started using whiteboards. Saves on paper and ink. So let's figure out what 16,000 times 140 is. Take 140. We'll multiply that by 16,000. I'm moving this 0 off to the side, so I'll just bring the 0 down. Oh wait, whoops, I bring it down at the end. So 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 6 is 24, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. Placeholder 0 for that, 1 is 0, 0, 1 times 6 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, and then I'll bring down this 0 to the final answer, right? So that's 0, 0, 4, 12, and 2. Right, now once I add in my commas, that's that doesn't seem right. Did I add too many zeros? Hold on. That should only be 22,000. Is there a decimal that I messed up here? Hold on. Oh no, I remember. I'm actually short a 0. I said 16,000, but that was 1,600. So I can take that extra 0 and just add it there. Sorry about that. I know this is getting really confusing for some of you. I messed up a 0. There should be an extra 0 up here, which is why I added that 0 down there. So this is actually 2,240,000. Now that's not her total answer. Now remember, we're doing this in a proportion. So now what I've got is, I've got 100 times x is equal to 2,240,000. And then when I solve by dividing by 100, that cancels. And that cancels. I can trade the zeros. So it just ends up being, if I fix the decimal places, 22400. The answer is just 22,400. Okay? Now, that is her total profit. So the tricky thing about this is her expenses for rent, they don't include the $16,000 that she spent on the wares. So we just found out that her total profit, or sorry, not her total profit, we found out that her markup was $22,400, right? Now, we have to subtract, along with the expenses, that $1,600 that she spent on her wares. So now, when we do this subtraction problem, we're actually subtracting 22,000 minus 16,000 and then minus 5,200 to find out her total profit. So let's see here. Zeros cancel. 4 minus 0 minus 2 is 2. Let's see here. We have to borrow. 12 minus 6 is 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. And then 1 minus 1 is nothing. So it looks like her profit is $1,200. Okay? So that's not a whole lot if you're running a store, so maybe she needs to adjust some stuff in her store. But that's the gist of it. So if we want to find out profit, we can do markup minus expenses equals profit. Okay? And then if they give you the total cost, don't forget, if you find the gross profit, you have to subtract all the expenses, including how much you spent on the items. Okay, so a bit of a long video. Money is sometimes a confusing topic. If you guys are having any trouble, let me know on the school website, and I will see you in class.